Welcome to Otherworld. I'm your host, Jack Wagner. I think in the first few episodes of this show, I referred to Otherworld as a kind of mini-series, which it was. I was not sure if people would listen to it or if there would be a reason to continue. I really wasn't sure what to think, what was going to happen. But we're about 30 episodes in now, and I'm sure most of you have probably figured out that this project is not mini, nor is it a series, and it's not stopping anytime soon. I've had an overwhelming amount of submissions, and the show has a lot more listeners than I ever expected, and we're just getting started. So thank you for that. I originally thought this would be a fun little side project, but at this point, I'm dedicating all of my time to it because I believe in it, and I'm so excited about the things that are coming in the future. Lots of the bigger, more complicated, difficult stories and themes I've had to kind of push into the future because I needed more time to carefully work on them. Also, I got married last week, and some of these topics and themes are so strange that in some cases I kind of had to be like, all right, this is becoming a post-wedding investigation because some of them start to become all-consuming and take up a lot of space in your brain. I'll just put it that way. Some of these stories aren't just one story. They're patterns, unexpected patterns. Now look, I'm not a paranormal guy. I'm not up late at night reading the forums, learning about the lore. I'm not a believer and I'm not a skeptic. I don't need any of this to be real. I'm here to tell stories about people and do everything in my power to get to the bottom of things if I can. So that's all to say that as I go through these emails and interview people, there have been a few patterns that have come up. And these patterns are things that I've noticed completely in a vacuum, without outside influence, without a ton of knowledge about existing theories, and without really looking for patterns. And I think that's important. And the patterns are very strange things that have occurred in multiple completely unrelated stories. In some cases, stories that have occurred in different time periods and different countries. Things that I didn't initially think were significant until I saw them again and again. This episode is one of the interviews that contains aspects that I saw come up again and again as I continued to interview people for Otherworld and read submissions. And the pattern I began to notice is that there are many people who have had some kind of vision, dream, astral projection, or telepathic experience, whatever you want to call it, where they see a UFO or extraterrestrial being. And then immediately afterwards, they begin to have instances of psychic or extrasensory abilities. This is something that I've seen come up a few times, and there are other patterns that I've noticed between things that I don't necessarily want to lay out explicitly, but I'm sure will eventually reveal themselves as we continue on with this show. And there are a lot of patterns that I've noticed between stories. In fact, I usually hesitate to even point out these patterns directly because I think the most effective way to maybe get to the bottom of this stuff is to present this evidence without my own theories. Almost all paranormal shows that exist are presented as basically folklore, tall tales, campfire stories, questionably loosely vetted information, and sometimes, I hate to say, but just straight up completely fake. And that's totally fine. But for me, I'm genuinely curious and mystified by all of this. And I actually want to get answers if I can. For me, I think the best way to do that with my skill set is to be completely truthful and accurate with these stories, even if there's a spookier way to tell them, by bending the truth or being creative with the editing. You know what I mean. That is not something that I do on Otherworld. and will never do. Because, as I've already learned in my brief time of doing things, you never know what insignificant aspect of a story might become very significant in the future. So, anyway, this interview is from a person named Terra from Tucson, Arizona. And Terra is a person who had an experience when she was young that she believes may have given her some supernatural abilities later in life that she still doesn't quite know what to make of. And this is one of those interviews where when I did it, I thought it was kind of interesting, but I'm not sure if it even would have made it onto the podcast if it weren't for the pattern that I eventually noticed. And there's going to be a few stories with this pattern that'll come out down the line, eventually leading to a very big one that I've been working on for quite some time. I don't know when that's going to come out, but you'll definitely know it when you hear it. So let's get this started. This is episode 30. The title is The Flooded Yard, and you're listening to Otherworld.
Hello? Yes, it is.
We're still so well.
Yeah, let us know when you're ready.
Okay.
It's not more in the Pacific Island for
This is a story about. My name's Terra, and I live in Tucson, Arizona. I was born and raised here, and I'm 35 years old. And this story is from when I was around 5 or 6, I want to say. And around that time in my life, I don't have a lot of memories. I probably can think of like 2 things that I remember solely on my own without the help of like family videos or photo albums or anything like that. But the main thing that was kind of happening in my life that I can remember was my parents were gearing up to have a divorce, or may have already had a divorce at that point. So the story starts in what I think is a dream, but it's much, much more vivid than any dream I've ever had before. So I wake up and I look out this window that's next to my bed, and I kind of am like looking up at the sky, which is pretty uncharacteristic for me, because I'm a little kid. I don't want to look out the window. I'm like scared of the dark. But I look up and I see a star, and then before I can even really realize that the star is like moving towards me, it moves past me. Like it comes through the window, and the window's closed. Like it's like glass window, there's a screen, and the light just comes through the window. It doesn't break anything, and it comes right past my face, and I can still remember feeling like the warmth from the light as it past my face, and it flew past me and landed in the closet behind me. And so I kind of turned around on the bed, looked towards the closet, and then the quote-unquote dream goes black. And then the dream comes back, and I'm outside on my back porch. It's still nighttime. And so I start walking towards my swing set. And again, very like not me to be a little kid walking around in the dark. I wouldn't be out there by myself voluntarily. And so I'm walking towards my swing set, and I walk just a couple feet, and then I feel this like urge to look up and like to the left. And I look up, and there's just this massive spaceship, and It's not like a flying saucer. It's not like something that I've ever seen in... I don't think I've ever seen anything that looked like this before. The best thing that I've come up with to describe what it looked like is like those Mayan pyramids that have like big steps. And it's like if you took two of those and you took the bottom ends and stuck the bottom ends together. So it's like this big, diamond shape almost. And this thing is huge. Like, it's bigger than my house, and it is up in the sky, and each individual step is like revolving in its own direction, and it's like each step is like covered in lights, and they're blinking, and there's like steam coming out, but it's just dead silent. And that is like one of the things I remember the most about it, is just how quiet it was. Because it's just so big, and it's like moving quickly and doing all this stuff, and like I don't hear anything, and then the dream just goes black. And so that is the first dream that I ever remember having, and it is one of the most vivid dreams, and I call it a dream just because I don't know what else to call it. But it felt extremely real. Like, it doesn't feel like some of my other dreams, and my dreams are very weird, like, things don't make sense a lot of times, but, like, after that dream, and granted, I'm 5, right, so I don't know how many dreams I really was having up until that point, but after that dream, I've had a kind of long history of what feels like meaningful dreams since then. And so that has turned into what I would kind of call like being able to predict deaths, but it's like not all deaths, and it's not, I don't even know if it's like prediction is the right word, but like the first one that happened after the spaceship dream, I was probably in like 3rd grade, maybe 2nd grade. And I think it was like the weekend, and we were home from school, and I had a dream, but I knew it was a dream. This is different than the spaceship thing. This is just an actual dream. And I don't know how to differentiate between the two, but I knew that I was just dreaming with this. But I'm in my backyard, and my backyard is entirely flooded. And so I'm climbing up onto my swing set, onto the like top of the slide to get above the water line. And I get up on the top of the slide, and I look down at the water, and then the body of a little boy floating face down just kind of floats past beneath me. And I don't remember anything after that dream. But then I went to school that following Monday, and there was an announcement that was made over the intercom that a kid from our school had drowned over the weekend in his family's pool. And I don't remember much more about that beyond I remember saying something to my teacher about having a dream about that, and they immediately sent me to the counselor. I think they were really worried about me being a little 3rd grader talking about having such a like morbid dream like that. So I went to the counselor, and that was kind of the end of that.
What strikes me about your dream is that when I was in 3rd grade, I don't think I could or would even imagine the concept of a dead body, if that makes sense. Like, when I was 3, I don't think I knew what that was, Like, I don't think I knew what dying was, really. Or the idea of, like, a drowned body. So that's surprising to me.
Yeah, and I don't feel like I've ever was, like, exposed to anything like that at that age either. Like, and I guess that's kind of, like, why these things stick out to me. Is because it's, like, I'm not, like, watching a bunch of, like, spaceship shows or, like, shows about, like, little kids drowning. Like, I don't know where my brain would pull that from. And then the coincidence of the timing was just, like, super weird. But honestly, being that young, I didn't think it was that weird. Like, it was one of those things where I thought about, like, older me, and I was like, that is weird that happened. Like, but at the time, I don't think I really registered how weird it was to, like, the correlation between the dream and finding that news out.
How long after was it?
I had the dream, like, that weekend, and then went to school that Monday, and they made the announcement.
What did you think, like, when you heard that?
Honestly, I think I was just, like, more distracted by the news, like the fact that this had happened. Like, I was just more consumed in that, like, just sad that news, like, that this kid had died, you know, because it was someone that, like, I'd, like, seen around school, and that was kind of like my first, I think, exposure to, like, oh, little kids die. Like, I didn't know that, you know, like, I thought that was like a grandma thing, you know? So I think I was just, like, super consumed with that at the time.
One question while I have it on my mind. The first UFO dream, what made you think it was a dream? Like, why do you think it was a dream?
I don't think it was a dream, I guess I should say. Like, I've referred to it as a dream because I feel like that's the way that I can explain it to people, and they're not going to be like, okay, you know, I don't know. Like, it didn't feel like a dream to me. Like, for, you know, I'm 35 years old. Like, that happened 30 years ago. And I feel like I've just become, like, more accustomed to describing it that way. But, like, probably up until, like, my mid-20s, like, I would tell the people that story, and I didn't say it was a dream because it didn't feel like a dream. So I don't know if that, like, complicates things or if it actually answers your question.
But your experience, you went to bed and then woke up in the middle of the night to see the star. And then it came through your window, went past you, things went black. All of a sudden you were on your porch. The next thing you know, right? And then you see the UFO, the pyramid thing, and then things go black again. And then where do you find yourself next?
I don't know. Like, I don't remember. Like, it wasn't like boom, boom, wake up. Like, it's just like it went black, and then eventually, I guess I woke up. But I don't have, like, a harsh, like, honestly, I think it, you know, and it's hard to talk about it, like, super definitively because it was a long time ago, because I think that I, like, remembered it more in hindsight, which makes it sound more like a dream, I guess. But, like, I don't think that I, like, it wasn't like see the spaceship, it goes black, wake up. It wasn't like that. So after that, like, dream about that kid, I don't remember anything super, super notable in my dreams until, like, I was probably around, like, high school age. And I was living in my mom's house, and I'd been experiencing some sleep paralysis and kept having, like, kind of, like, intense, like, stressful episodes with sleep. And then that kind of, like, went away. And then one night I had a dream where I woke up in the dream and I just feel this thing, like, pulling me to go outside. And it pulls me, and so I go out because I can't fight it. Like, there's nothing I can do to stop the feeling that I'm feeling. Like, I can't resist it. And so it takes me out to the front of the house, and I'm facing in one direction, and I just feel it pulling me to look at something down the road. And in my head, I just was like, this is bad. Like, whatever this is trying to make me look at, it's bad. I don't want to look at it. And I resisted it, and woke up. And then a few nights later, fall asleep, have a similar thing where in my dream, I wake up and I'm being pulled. And so I get pulled downstairs. I'm, like, walking down the stairs, and all the lights are off in the house. And I, like, feel this pull to look to the left. And there's these kids, and they're kind of, like, playing in the dark in a circle in our, like, living room. And So I go to flip on the light to be like, what's going on? And when I flip on the light, half of the kids disappear. And in my brain, I was like, oh, they're ghosts. Like, that's what it meant in the dream. They're ghosts. Like, as soon as I flipped on the light, it, like, exposed that, like, half of them disappear or whatever. And it would just be a dream that I would write off as a dream, except for later on, probably, like, weeks later, I'm sitting in my mom's, like, living room watching TV, and, like, nothing's happening, and all of a sudden, this picture just falls off the wall. And, like, glass shatters, and it's, like, super stressful. I'm trying to clean it up because there's, like, dogs around and stuff. But the picture was like a print of a painting of kids playing Ring Around the Rosie. And so my brain connected those two things. Now, I don't know what that means. I don't have a lot of, like, deep meaning behind it beyond I had this, like, scary experience in a dream, and then I, like, this picture falls off the wall for no reason, and it's an image of kids playing Ring Around the Rosie, which is what happened in the dream, is kids playing Ring Around the Rosie. And then from there, I don't think I had any notable dreams until probably, like, mid-20s. And I had a partner that I was dating for several years, and the relationship ended in, like, a kind of messy way. And, like, we weren't talking after we broke up. And one night I have this dream where I go to his house. And his parents are there. And I'm kind of, like, talking to them. But I'm, like, looking around, like, waiting for him to come around the corner. And at some point in the dream, I start to, like, feel like they're hiding something from me. Like, they're not being honest about, like, where he's at. And so I, like, keep kind of, you know, entertaining them and talking to them. But at the same time, I'm like, where is he? Where is he? And all of a sudden, like, things start to move in the house. So there was, like, these, like, cabinets that we were standing next to in the house. And they start to kind of, like, open and close on their own. And I start to kind of, like, think, I feel like this house is haunted. And then it just, like, clicks all of a sudden. And I was like, he died. Like, he's the one haunting the house. That's what's going on right now. And I woke up after that dream, and I just could not, like, shake the feeling. I just, like, was really, like, nervous about, like, how he was, because it was very real in the dream, the feeling that he had passed away. And so I wake up and I go on Facebook to just kind of lurk and see, like, how he's doing and check in. And the last post on his Facebook page was one of his friends, you know, saying, rest in peace, buddy. And it was like, I was not in touch with anybody in his life, so nobody let me know. And that's how I found out. And I've had, you know, a couple of dreams, like visitation dreams, where, like, people who've passed away have, like, come back and visited me, and, like, they're, like, in perfect shape and, like, super happy, and they don't even really want to acknowledge the fact that they died. It's just, like, this, like, letting me know that they're, like, doing good. And I think, like, that's the gist of it. Like, those are the main notable dreams that I feel like I've had.
Who are the people that have come visited you, and what did you guys talk about?
So there was a girl that I was friends with who passed away from cancer, and it was weird. Like, I, like, ran into her in the dream in, like, a Whole Foods. Like, I just saw her kind of, like, walk by real quick, and I was like, oh my gosh, was that Elizabeth? And so I, like, beeline it to go track her down. And I'm sitting there like, oh my gosh, are you okay? Like you died, like, blah, 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 trying to just be like, catch her up to speed on her, like, her death. And she looks perfect. And, you know, she was very different when she passed away. She looked very different. Like, almost couldn't recognize her compared to the person that I knew. And so in the dream, I feel like she was kind of like, I'm okay. Like, but she didn't want to talk about the death. She didn't want to talk about it. She just wanted to talk about, I'm okay. and was just like radiating, like just beautiful and just perfect, like super healthy, like the best I'd ever seen her. That's kind of where that dream was. And then the other one was that partner, the dream that I talked about where, I don't know what a better word for, it's not predicted. I didn't predict his death, but that person, I had a visitation dream from him. And it was after I'd kind of like reconnected with his family. But it was like kind of the same sentiment where it was just like, I love you and like, I'm okay and it's okay. And like that dream, there was like, it was like very bright. And he was again, like perfect health. He was in really good shape. Like he looked just like super healthy. And the light was super bright and it just felt warm, but like cool. I don't know. It was like, I feel like that if it's just a dream and it's just my brain doing stuff, it was like my brain showing me everything that it could possibly show me to be like as comforting as possible, where it's just like, this is like air conditioning outside in the sun. It was like perfect. Like it just felt so good in that dream. And he looked so good in that dream. So I feel like that's kind of the gist of those dreams, is it's just like them trying to like let me know like I'm good, like you don't have to worry about me. So I feel like sleep, or like a semi-sleep state, like when your brain is relaxed, I feel like it opens us up to things. That's just like something that I've like come to kind of like believe throughout the years with this stuff, where it's just like I feel like the veil thins, or however you want to say it, and I feel like you're more open to information. The first quote unquote dream, I don't know like where that falls into it. Like I don't know how I feel about that. I just feel like looking back now, it's strange that that thing that's kind of like not really connected to the other things, but it was like the first one. And so now I have my like suspicions, or like, conspiracy theories of my own making of like, is that why I can like have these dreams? Because there's a lot of people in my family who like, they don't even remember their dreams, let alone have like vivid ones or meaningful ones, or ones that kind of like precede some like major news or anything like that. So I have like suspicions about like a connection to that dream. And beyond that, like, it's just like, I don't know that it makes me move through my life any differently. But maybe that's just because it's been going on for so long that like it just feels like a normal thing.
All right. Thank you so much to Terra for telling these stories. Like I said, I thought it was interesting when I first heard it, but it became very interesting when I started to hear some of the themes pop up again and again as I conducted interviews over the last year. So I don't even know if her story would have made it onto Otherworld if I didn't notice the pattern, but I think that's the first of many bricks I'm going to start laying to build a foundation of a much larger series of episodes that's coming in the future. And I'm very excited for that. So thank you to Terra for telling that story. I think it's best to just lay all this stuff out, let people hear it, and maybe one day we'll have some answers about what is going on with these people, because I truly do believe that something is going on. I would like answers to these things. I genuinely am hoping to try to figure things out one day if I can. Now, I don't think that me, Jack Wagner, personally is going to solve on my own some of the greatest mysteries of our world. But what I can do with my skill set is to find these stories, vet them to the best of my ability, and then tell the stories in the most complete and accurate way, getting as much research from the people who experienced as I can, and then lay them out in a way that they could be useful to people that do have the skills to maybe find answers to these things in the future and maybe notice patterns. So that's what I'm doing here, and I think Terra's story is one step towards a very interesting series of things that you will hear in the future. Like I said, I'm very excited for that. Terra, thank you for telling me the story. I think it's very interesting what happened to you. I know that a lot of kids have strange dreams. By the way, it sounds a little different than a dream, but that is a very specific image of a UFO, one that is quite modern and rare. It's not, if you were to ask a little kid to draw a UFO, that's not what they would draw. It's a very, very vivid description, and that's why it stood out to me, and something that they still remember. Not only that, the premonition about the boy drowning at school is also very specific, and once again stands out to me as something that seemed to come from the outside, if you will. I don't know if any of you remember being that age, but you kind of exist in a fog of ignorance and naivety, if you will. I remember learning what my own middle name was. You know, there are things that you just don't know and are told about later on. And one of those things is the concept of a dead body and drowning. You know, you might know the word, but you don't know what it means. And generally, little kids are not having dreams about dead bodies. That sticks out to me. So, this has been episode 30. The title is The Flooded Yard, and you've been listening to Otherworld. Otherworld is executive produced and hosted by myself, Jack Wagner. The theme song is by Cobra Man. The soundtrack of this episode is by North Americans. Editing and engineering by Theo Schaefer. The artwork for our show is by Cul-de-sac Studios. This is an independent show, so please show us your support by subscribing, leaving a 5-star review, and telling your friends. Also, if you want to hear more of Otherworld or contribute to the show, sign up for our Patreon, patreon.com/otherworld. We have a bunch of bonus episodes up there. I just put an interview up last week with a biologist who is currently in the Lake Titicaca region of South America, and he tells me all sorts of wild stories about devil worshipping in mines, people making sacrifices, and a lot of the strange superstitions that he's encountered while working in the field as a biologist. So check that out, patreon.com/otherworld. If you want to follow us on social media, we're at OtherworldPod on Instagram and Twitter. And finally, if you or somebody you know has experienced something paranormal, supernatural, or unexplained, you could send us your story at stories@otherworldpod.com.